two, testing 1, 2. Test. Testing 1, 2, testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. Hello? Should I raise it up a little bit? Okay, all right, wonderful. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alfonso Mills. I am a senior psychology major at Morehouse College, and I will be presenting to you my research that I did at Emory University entitled Marijuana Use and Its Effects on Fear Inhibition. So I did this research with the Grady Trauma Project at Emory University. The project began in 2005, and since then has expanded to have over 5,000 initial recruits, 400 psychological data, and over 50 neuroimaging data. This lab includes a clinical lab, an animal lab, and a genetics lab. And all of this is run by Dr. Carrie Ressler. So the main disorder that we focus on is post-traumatic stress disorder. Now this is something that is characterized by 3 symptoms: hyperactivity and increased arousal, so people that are really anxious, have a hard time calming down; avoidance, so people withdraw themselves; and persistent recollection, so people that develop post-traumatic stress disorder go through a traumatic event. So after this event, they have a hard time forgetting it. It's something that's continuously on their mind. This post-traumatic stress disorder is very well known in the military population for soldiers that go overseas. It's also well known for people that go through extreme natural disasters such as Hurricane Katrina. And also, women are twice more likely to develop this disorder than men. So in a study done before I joined the project, they took a sample of the whole population and looked at some of the traumatic events that they have gone through. I've highlighted some of the statistics that really shocked me. 35% of this population has been attacked with a weapon. 35% have also been attacked without a weapon, so this includes being beaten with fists and things like that. 35% of this population experienced violence between their parents or caregivers. 36% of the population were beaten as a child, and 20% had sexual contact before the age of 13. Also, for this population, they looked at the substance use. As you can see, 6.2% of this population have had some kind of experience with heroin, 34% with cocaine, 39% with alcohol, and 44.8% have had some kind of contact with marijuana. As you can see, 1 in 3 people have had some kind of contact with cocaine, alcohol, and marijuana, with marijuana being the drug of choice. So in this study, they wanted to look at the correlation between abuse and substance use. So for physical abuse, there is a correlation between lifetime marijuana use in males and females. There's also a correlation between lifetime marijuana use and females specifically. For sexual abuse, there is a correlation between lifetime marijuana use in males and females, also specifically lifetime marijuana use in females, and current marijuana use in females for sexual abuse. And lastly, for emotional abuse, there is a correlation between current marijuana use and males and females together. So how I developed my research interest, my research story for this project was, I looked at the history of trauma in this population. Of course, post-traumatic stress disorder, because that's what the lab studies. And because of my strong history in neuroscience, I wanted to study the anxiety in this population. And I took all of that and I wanted to merge it with substance abuse, specifically marijuana, since that wasn't a drug of choice for this population. So in a previous study done in an animal lab, they looked at hamsters, injected them with cannabis, and looked at its effects on the endocannabinoid system. And what they saw was a decrease in anxiety when going through safety and danger cues. So because of the cannabis, the hamsters were calm, they were relaxed during the safety and the danger cues when given a procedure. So I used these results to support my prediction that the same thing would happen to humans. When they have some kind of experience with the cannabis, aka marijuana, they will be relaxed, they will be calm. And anecdotal research says, the experience with marijuana, it calms people down, it relaxes them. So we use this animal lab to support my prediction. So I developed this research question. In an inner city population, aka downtown Atlanta, Is there a connection or a correlation between this high level of substance abuse that you saw in the previous research and the high level of traumatic experience also shown? If so, is there an interaction between these two variables? Is the marijuana use causing people to have these traumatic experiences, or are the traumatic experiences causing people to use marijuana so heavily? So my hypothesis, based on previous research done on the hamsters, the anxiety response of humans will decrease as the amount of marijuana increases in the participants with or without post-traumatic stress disorder. So what we hoped to see was, as the amount of marijuana increased for our participants, their anxiety will decrease. So we had a 3-day data collection process. We started off with an initial screen. We got basic demographic information, we got information on the traumatic experiences that they had been through, and we also got some very basic information on their history with marijuana and alcohol. Based off their answers to that, they were asked to come back for a day 1 and a day 2 process. For the day 1, we did an in-depth interview where we looked more in-depthly at their marijuana use, lifetime and current, and we used a KMSK scale to measure that. When they came in for the day 2 procedure, they were put into a chamber and given a startle procedure where we measured their skin conductance, where we gave them a classical conditioning test, which I will explain a little bit later. So when we got the basic demographic information, we took a sample of 111 participants. 94% of the sample is African American, and that was something that I thought was important because it shows that we are doing study. The study is important because we're doing study on African Americans. It's us, it's people that you see every day. So when we did the in-depth interview and did the KMSK scale, it was on a scale of 0 to 5. 0 being that the participant has never smoked, current or lifetime, and 5 being that the participant smokes regular intervals through the day, every day or most days. When we did this research, we looked at current and lifetime use. We did not find anything significant with current marijuana use. However, all of our results came from lifetime use of marijuana. So before we got into our test, we wanted to look at some of the demographic information and see its effect on the amount of marijuana that these people in the population use. Even if you look at sex, the difference between males and females, although it may look like males use marijuana significantly more than females, there is no statistical difference. Also, for the diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder, there is no difference in the amount of marijuana used between people that had PTSD and that did not. So when we looked at the frequency of marijuana used in the population, we see that 22% of the sample had never smoked marijuana or never used marijuana. 17.8% have used marijuana less than 20 times in their life. 30% have used marijuana 20 to 100 times in their life. 6.7 once a day, 5.6 in clusters daily, and then 17.8% use marijuana in regular intervals throughout the day. So what you can see from this graph is that people are either trying marijuana, doing it maybe 20 to 100 times, or they're using marijuana regularly throughout the day, so they're waking up smoking, using marijuana throughout the day to get through their day, and things like that. So when they went through the startup procedure, they came in, put on a camel pack, and we measured their skin conductance, their heart rate, and something called startle, which measures their linkage. We gave them a classical conditioning test. When they saw the red square, that was considered to be the danger cue. So when they saw the red square, they would get an air blast under their chin. However, when they saw the blue triangle, that was the safety cue. Nothing would happen. So we measured their skin conductance to measure their anxiety when the red square would come up and when the blue triangle would come up. Eventually, throughout the test, they were supposed to realize that when the red square would come up, okay, I should be anxious because I know I'm about to get an air blast under my chest. And then when the blue triangle came up, they can calm down because nothing was going to happen. So our results were as follows. We separated the participants between people that were not dependent on marijuana and that were dependent on marijuana based on their score on the KMSK scale. So we see for people that were not dependent on marijuana, they had a clear distinction between the safety and the danger cue. So if you look at the green bar, that is their reaction to the danger cue, an increase in anxiety. And the white bar, which is the safety cue, a decrease in anxiety. However, for people that were dependent on marijuana, they had a harder time distinguishing between the safety and the danger cues. So if you see their green bar, they were anxious. They understood that, okay, this is a danger cue. I should be aroused. However, for the white bar, they were also just a little bit above, so they were also anxious for the safety cue as well. So when we look at the difference between the safety and the danger cues, so if you go back, we're looking at the difference between the green bar and the white bar for both groups. We ran a t-test and we saw that people that were not dependent on marijuana had a larger difference between people that were dependent. So for normal people, you want to have a larger green bar in the difference because it shows that you're able to distinguish between the safety cue and the danger cue. So in conclusion, we see that marijuana does not help with lifetime marijuana use, does not help with post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms, specifically hyperactivity, arousal, and anxiety, because it's causing problems distinguishing between these safety and these danger cues. We know that marijuana has a direct effect on the amygdala and the hippocampus in the brain. The amygdala helps distinguish between these safety and these danger cues, and the hippocampus controls the memory. So having marijuana having an effect on these is going to directly have an effect on post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms of recollections and distinguishing between safety situations and danger situations. Failure to distinguish between these two can cause a lot of real life problems or real life implications. So, for instance, somebody could witness a shooting by a CVS. So now every time they go around the CVS, they're scared, they're aroused, when they really should be calm because nothing's going to happen. This study, however, does not disprove anecdotal research which says that marijuana calms them down, because we saw no significant difference between people that had current marijuana use. So we were not able to make that statement. So future implications of this research. Neuroimaging will allow us to look at the amygdala and the hippocampus, which I said distinguish between safety and danger cues in the memory, and see the effect that marijuana is having on these parts of the brain. We also want to find a way to kind of help these people that have this lifetime use of marijuana to kind of see what we can do to bridge that gap to help them be more relaxed during the safety situations and obviously be aroused during the dangerous situations. As I said before, women are 2 times more likely to develop PTSD than men, so there are a lot of emerging estrogen studies to see how estrogen is having an effect on anxiety and post-traumatic stress disorder. I personally would like to take this research to a military population to include the history of trauma, include the anxiety, include the substance abuse, but see what the effect of going overseas and fighting in war has an effect on their body as well. Also, because 94% of the sample are African American, I think it's important to take this research and spread it. With marijuana becoming legal in a lot of states, it's important that they know that the effect that marijuana has on their body. These are my references, and these are my acknowledgments. I could not have done any of this without all of these people. Thank you all so much.
Go to our panel of judges.
Good presentation.
Thank you.
In one of your slides, you said that the results were the opposite in humans versus animals.
Correct.
Can you explain that?
Yes, sir. So in the animals, the injection of the cannabis caused them to be more calm. However, in humans, as we saw, it caused them to be more anxious. So instead of being calm during the safety situations and anxious during the danger situations, humans were anxious during the danger situations and the safety situations. However, the animals were calm during both. So they had a lack of anxiety.
Why do you think that was?
That is a wonderful question. To be honest, I feel like because of the way that the sample was divided between dependent and non-dependent, because these people are constantly injecting marijuana, I think that could have also had an effect on possibly their reaction to some of the stimulus that we provided during the startup procedure. So, kind of being in the room, being in the chamber, I've personally been in it, and it's kind of scary, so that could possibly cause me to be a little more anxious.
Very good presentation. Actually, I had a couple of questions.
Yes.
First one was somewhat on the one comparing the animal studies versus humans. I think in one of your slides you may have glossed on the subject. of separating the short term, or essentially your score scale from 0 to 5, essentially separate the 5s from the 1s. Have you done that, or was it pretty much all one pool? Thus kind of getting back to your more chronic users over a long time versus acutely sometimes users. Comparing back to the mice, the people at the 1 might actually behave like mice versus the lifetime several times a day might just be a saturating effect. So that was, I guess, in your data, look at maybe separate the 1s from the 5s and the humans. See, that might be your reason for not turning out the way you expected it from the animal studies. Also, I was thinking of endpoints of post-traumatic stress disorder. You also mentioned women having obviously slightly different hormonal balance than men will be. There's a lot more going on, which in certain conditions and healthy states is actually helpful. And in this one, you mentioned measuring hormones and such. Are you looking at any other, I guess, more biochemical, molecular things like obviously adrenaline, epinephrine, something like that? Or is it specific proteins or things associated with post-traumatic stress that you have also as absolute numbers to show this group versus this group? Do you have any plans for any of that, or has it been done?
Not at the moment. Right now, we're looking at specifically estrogen, but it's a developing study, so we're still kind of getting our data and things like that. But I would definitely bring that to my mentor because we think that's important. All right, thank you all so much.